A very warm good morning to all of you. This is Nayan Ranjan Sinha, moderator, technical session 4, based on marketing. Welcome all of you on the NMS RC 2020. In today's business world, the changing business environment is the complex, uncertain, and volatile world. It is putting more challenges in the professional than ever before. The current crisis that has gripped economies across the globe made consumers rethink consumption habits. Movement restrictions serve a body blow to most businesses and put the pressure on sustainability with innovation. Post COVID-19, these organizations need to constant transformation of business processes and strategies to lead the change. In some cases, this will involve introduction and entirely new services, and at the least when reinventing and re-engineering the process and the way of the working. To develop these research abilities, International School of Management Patna imparting NMSRC 2020, which having main source to innovate and impart knowledge with full dedication, devotion, and determination. We have many participants as well as some dignitaries in technical session 4. First, we will continue with Professor Sanjay Patra sir. Then we have B.N. Swar sir. Then we have Professor Dr. Kamal Hussain sir. Then we will have Professor Sudhir Saran sir. Before moving ahead, I would like to give a just brief profile about Dr. Sanjay Patra sir. That Sanjay Patra sir having BSc Engineering, PGT, HRM, PhD from Brahmpur University. Presently, he is associated with XLRI Jamshedpur as a chairperson, marketing. He has also served the Brahmpur University. His area of research and interest is brand management, social role and branding, marketing in emerging countries, role of brand and managing consumer mobility. He taught many subjects, conducted lots of consultancy, including SFAC, UWCRA, IDC, BSNL, IDC, national reviewed journals, articles, has pioneering in achieving and delivering lots of international or in the keynote speaker in many seminar, MDBs and workshop. Sir is also member of Consumer Culture Theory Consortium, Academy of Indian Marketing. Sir is also visiting faculty of IIM Kozhikode and Indian School of Mines, Hyderabad. Now, I would like to request Sir you to please bless us with your deliberations. Over to you, Sanjay Patra sir.
Very good afternoon to all of you. It is a great pleasure to be associated with the National Management Summit and Research Conference of International School of Management, Patna. I'm really happy to be a part of and privileged to be the keynote speaker in this great conference, which I understand is the fourth edition, which is in the fourth edition. You have two panel speakers, Professor B.N. Swar and Professor Sudhir Saran. B.N. Swar, Dean MDI, and Professor Saran, who's a Professor Emeritus involved with IIM Lucknow and all. I'm sure under the leadership of Professor Padhi, the entire NMSRC has gone up very well. I see a lot of serious researchers, academicians, people from industry from both India and abroad being associated with this great conference. Uh, yeah, my association with Professor Padi dates back to some 33, 34 years. We had worked at Barampur University together in the Department of Business Administration. After working in industry for a while, I had been to to Barampur University, where we were colleagues. Uh, After spending about a decade there, I moved to XLRI Jamshedpur, which is in the erstwhile Bihar, and currently in Jharkhand. Uh, you know, your director, Professor Padi, was earlier at Ranchi, BITS Mesra, and then he had moved to Barampur. Uh, Today's the theme of the conference, the theme of and I've also seen the moderators, Professor Sinam, and every other faculty are being so actively engaged with this management conference, and many of the faculty have developed papers. The papers are going to be presented. Today's the theme of the conference is and development perspectives in the new normal. This we are talking about the new normal, and if this new normal term has come up in the mid of 2020. Life was going on at breakneck speed, thousands of flights crisscrossing different parts of the world, industrial activity, manufacturing happening 3 shifts a day, mining companies deploying gigantic machines to extract minerals from the ores of all over the world. Okay, the services sector, tourism sector, everything was booming at its peak capacity. And as Thomas Friedman had mentioned in his book, The World is Flat, the entire world was looking like a global village. The global village term was coined by the great media expert Marshall McLuhan in 1970s. He observed that in the days to come, think of the vision of this great man, Marshall McLuhan, who could assume, who could visualize that in another 20, 25 years, the world will become a village. You'll be able to see what is happening all around in your own living room. That has become a reality with the TV coming in. You can watch the live wars being fought at LOC. The live wildfires of California, the wildfires of Australia, which killed millions of species last year. There were so many volcanoes happening, floods, nature's fury is at its highest. So many, cyclones, tornadoes, tsunamis have been hitting, the coastal areas. All those were happening, and we thought that's fine. Okay, the coastal areas, all those were happening, and we thought that's fine. Okay, it is part of the change of the mother nature, and anything that is nature is subject to change. But this pandemic has raised a bigger question before all of us, before the before every thinking individual of this planet. Are we on the right track? Are we doing the right things? The things that we took to be normal, is it normal? Can we exploit Mother Nature the way we have been doing for thousands of years, especially in the last 200 years? Okay, Alvin Toffler talked about the different waves of civilization: the first wave, the second wave, and the third wave. The first wave referred to the agricultural era, because before agriculture, people were leading a nomadic life, looking for fruits, hunting animals, and they were quite happy with the nature's bountiful resources. Then came the phase where people settled down on the banks of the rivers. The reason for settling there was on the banks of rivers was primarily because of the fertile soil, the alluvial soil, the Indo-Gangetic plains. We had the Indian civilization growing up along Mesopotamia, the Tigris, Euphrates, the Mesopotamian civilization along the bank of Nile, the Egyptian civilization, and similar was the case globally in other places, Inca civilization and all, and the America that we, which has become the center of power today, was not there. The era that we are talking about, America was discovered just 400 years back. Okay, so from during the agricultural era, India and China were dominating the entire world. These two countries, Asian countries, these two countries were accounting for about 53% of the GDP. But then came the industrial revolution in the 18th century. England, Germany, they took the lead, and the entire Europe was the first to benefit from industrialization. The era of industrialization was preceded by the era of maritime navigation, where the European countries colonized almost all parts of the world. They could extract resources, took away resources, and built magnificent cities in Europe. Uh, as a result of that, in 150 years' time, after British rule, by 1950, India's GDP declined from 24% to 1.5% of the world's total production. Uh, and in these 200 years of industrialization, initial phases, Mother Nature could adapt to the resource depletion. But as you know, we are living in an age of acceleration. Age of acceleration. The it is like a chessboard. In a chessboard, 64 boxes. Even if you take one grain of rice on the box one, box two, if you double it, box three, that gets doubled, box four gets doubled. That way, halfway through the chessboard, we'll come to a figure that is mind-boggling. That would be some million tons of rice. So, in an age of geometric and exponential growth, in any era, when you enter in the middle, from there the growth will be significantly higher. Uh, so, therefore, this pandemic has, has raised an alarm before all of us, before the policymakers, before the government, before the industry, before management, to think of new ways of sustaining our future. Otherwise, it is a grave call for all of us to reflect, to take a relook at what we are doing, raising questions about the developmental practices, which we followed for last so many years, and in India for the last 75 years, the policy that we have followed, okay, that has undoubtedly helped many people move up from the poverty line, but it came as a huge cost. Always we are talking about win-win, okay, but the point is, in our desire to reduce unemployment, in order to increase the per capita income of people, we move towards industrialization without much thought. We can't blame the emerging countries like India and other countries for that, but primarily the developed countries, which are consuming so much of energy, so much of resources, and the per capita income of China, though both India and China were at the same level in the 70s in terms of per capita income, in terms of development, China today has gone past India. Their per capita income is about 5 times more than that of India, because they have become the plant to the world. They become the manufacturing hub of the entire world. Any brand, any product that you are seeing, very likely they are sourced from China. They have dominated the entire economic scene. They've improved their economic output from 5% of the global output to about 16% today, and they are likely to be the second largest economy after US in the next 5 years. Uh, this pandemic has raised many questions. It has raised questions about sustainability. Can we sustain this kind of development? If the planet can't be sustained, what about the farms? What about marketing, finance, HR? The pandemic has put a big halt to all activities. Schools and colleges have remained closed. Even in India, the big festivals like Ram Navami or Rath Yatra, Jagannath's Rath Yatra at Puri, and I'm just naming two, the Eid, and all kind of religious festivals have been curtailed. Uh, uh, have been curtailed. It has raised very fundamental questions. It has also raised questions about people's blind faith in certain kind of beliefs. Earlier when people were in distress, they'll go to the temple, they'll go to the mosque, they'll go to the church, seek solace, have reflection, and try to do course correction. But the coronavirus has made any kind of congregation impossible. Okay, people who go to places of worship are more likely to get impacted, whether it is church, whether it is mosque, whether it is temple, whether it is Kumbh Mela, whether it is Mecca festival. Okay, so therefore it also raises an important issue that is this coronavirus more powerful than more powerful than our religious faith, because the virus doesn't recognize any religion, any caste, any any high income, low income, any socio-economic classifications which have been created by human beings. So in this present context, in this new normal, every thinking individual, the large, the including WHO, every UN body, every government are reconsidering their path of reworking towards a sustainable future. I note that there are about 4 papers in this theme, which all are linked to COVID, consumer behavior, during the COVID times, plastic money, e-commerce, and green marketing. Okay, all are linked to this great theme. There is a paucity of time. I will end my short talk here, wishing you all the very best, and I'm sure the research paper should throw more light, and we have 2 distinguished panel speakers who would contribute more. Wishing you all the best. I'm here. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Such a nice deliberations. Thank you very much, sir. There is an important announcement that this is to request all the eminent speaker, chairperson, and panelists to please occupy only 10 minutes. Please, sir, don't mind it, because we have valedictory session at 1:30 p.m. For that, chief guest already arrived at our campus, so we need to start that session on time because chief guest is physically presented in at our campus, and this is also to request all the participants that conclude their presentation in 5 to 7 minutes. Thank you very much, sir. Sanjay sir, thank you very much for blessing us, sir. Now, I would request to Dr. Biranchi Narayan Swar, sir, to give his blessings. Before that, I am just briefing about his profile. Dr. Viranchi Narayan Swar, sir, is MA Economics, MBA Marketing, and PhD Marketing of Services. He has ranked third in order to merit of BA Economics and MA Economics in the university examination. Dr. Swar has been awarded the National Scholarship from Ministry of HRD, Government of India. Currently, Dr. Swar is working as a professor and area of chair marketing dean at MDI Murshidabad. He has more than 17 years of rich experience of teaching, research, and industry. He has academically associated with the association like Association of Various Management Scholars and Academy of Marketing USA. Dr. Swar conducted various MDP, EDPs in the area of marketing for the corporates like IOCL, HUL, Sony, Voltas, Bosch, Oyo, Birla Tyres, Union Bank of India, Inami Papers Limited, Johns, and many more. Has undertaken various consultancy and project work from reputed companies as well. We are fortunate enough to get blessing from you, sir. BN Swar, sir, over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nayanranjan Sinha ji. Can I share this slide?
Yes, please, sir. Please, sir. Please, sir.
If you can guide me, where is the option?
Present now, sir.
Present now, then window.
Entire screen.
Then where is it?
You click the entire screen and your screen will be presenting.
Whether
Yes,
slide
sir.
is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot for your introduction. At the outset, let me very thankful to ISM Patna for inviting me as a chairperson for this particular conference. And let me start my speech by thanking the Honorable Keynote Speaker, Professor Sanjay Patra sir from XLR Jamshedpur, and the panel speaker, Professor Kamal Hussain, for being here. And I'm very much thankful to all the delegates, organizers, and last but not the least, the student staff and the esteemed director of ISM Patna, Professor Prasad Kumar Padi sir, for inviting me for this particular program. And I wish all the best for this particular conference to all the organizers. And at the outset, I thought that everybody is very, worry about this particular crisis which is going on in and around. Then I thought, okay, let me give a glimpse about how the from the marketing area, how the shoppers' buying behavior is changing due to this COVID-19. So when you look at the bank, maybe the first cases, which is during the pandemic, which originating from China, the first case which happened in 13th of January 2020, and the country has reported the first 3 cases in Kerala, right? And all of them, those who returned from Wuhan, China, they are the main, victim for this particular COVID-19 positive cases. And from there, if you see, the confirmed cases are increased, and we crossed 100 on 15 March 2020. And today, if you see, the number of confirmed cases in India is around 10 million. So that shows that how it is increasing exponentially from on a day-to-day basis. So by looking at that background, right, a recent report which has been revealed by McKinsey, they published and the research revealed that they conducted a survey in around 12 countries and revealed that 91% of Indians change their shopping behavior due to this particular crisis. So that shows there is a huge impact of this COVID-19 on each and every individual of this country, irrespective of gender, irrespective of age, irrespective of their, SEC background. So that reflects how we have to change ourselves as a shopper. So what are the changes we could see is the consumption pattern is changing, right? And the big question which comes to all of us is, are the changes permanent or temporary, right? So by going forward, when you look at the consumption patterns, if you say these are changing, and as the research rightly pointed out, that 91% Indians have their changing shopping behavior. So a research report has been published by Accenture, and from there you can see that how people are much concerned about their economy, health, their personal and society at large. So the outcome of the study shows that people are very much concerned about their health as an individual, that contribute around 64%. They thought that I am fearful for my own health, and this is applicable to all of us. Similarly, you can see that I am much worried about my economy as a whole because I don't know what will happen to my job. We're talking about negative growth, right? And similarly, we are also talking about the economy and the society at large. If the economy is going to affect badly, then where should I stand? What should I do? Similarly, at the same time, I'm not only worried about my individual health, but at the same time, I'm also worried about what is going to happen with the society at large when it comes to I am fear due to this COVID, and others also fear. And due to this particular outcomes, whatever you see in this matrix, the behavior has changed. The shoppers' behaviors or the shopping behavior has changed to a larger extent, right? So now let's look at what are the changes we see in and around. We never thought of that this kind of conferences can be arranged online. If you talk about, say, last December, right? And today you are in a platform where we interact virtually. Similarly, the companies like Byju's, Unacademy, Vedantu, they all are there. But if you say their enrollment post-COVID, it changed to a larger extent. And it is due to people prefer to attend or get any kind of training through a virtual platform, right? So every now and then we also attend meeting online, right? So as you know, this is a very good line. Like consumers can't go to the store. So the store comes to home. Now what do you do is, whether it is essential products or health or hygiene products, what do you do is you stay at your home and you place order, and the order is only click away from you, right? And what exactly you are doing? You are placing order by going to JioMart or Grofers or Amazon or eBay or Flipkart. That's what you do. And there is a tremendous paradigm shift, which we all visualize is we are not going to the hospital if there is any problem, if there is any health concerns. What do you do is the hospital comes to us. I mean, you have to communicate with your doctors either through WhatsApp or a video chat, or it will be a Zoom platform, whether it is Google Meet. So these things are happening. And there is a consumption pattern has changed when it comes to the use of digital equipments. So I can give you a statistic here. Like you see that people are nowadays, they are not, because being a senior citizen, you don't go anywhere. If you have to consult a doctor, how do you do? You consult your doctor through a Zoom call and share your problem, and you get your preventions, precautions, medicines online, right? So that give a lot of inputs to today's marketers how they should reach their customers. And there is also a tune that the 5G to contribute around $2.1 trillion to the global real GDP by 2035. And if you see the trend from 2019 to 20, the per capita consumption of data is also increased to a larger extent, right? If you see today, many of people like you and me, irrespective of genders, we all use smartphones. And the per capita consumption per month through smartphones, the data usage is around 8 GB, right? That was there in 2019. But if you see last 1 year, the data consumption has increased to 12 GB from 8 GB just in last 1 year. That shows that we all are using this digital equipments or the data usage, which has gone up more than 150%, right? That shows that irrespective of age, gender, wherever you belong to across the globe, you have to have this kind of platform to reach out your customers, to reach out your uh, friends, right? Or whether you have to conduct your classes online. So these all are opening for all of us. Now, apart from that, what are the other changes you see? The other changes, like you talk about, this, there is people don't take cash, right? So you go for a cashless transactions, and there is a more demand for essential goods, and whenever there is more demand and people are to get some benefit out of it, they also go for hoarding, right? And in that way the price increases to a greater extent. And we prefer, due to the shutdown, lockdown and all that, we prefer to buy anything local, right? And we don't want to go to any crowded spaces. It may be irrespective of age, irrespective of gender, whatever the demographic profile you belong to, you don't want to go to any shop where there is too much of crowd are there, right? So what you do is you simply believe like, okay, let me go digital, right? At the same time, you can see that the non-cash transactions is also growing as per this report. You can see that from 2009, and if you look, just talk about pre-COVID, that is 2019, and post-COVID, right? This is what has been projected, that the non-cash transactions is uh, the future is there, and we have to rely more on these digital payments. And today you see that people are not to go to a brick and mortar store, in rather they prefer a click only store where they can go and shop. At the same time, we are moving from going to a store to going to a kirana store, going to different kind of app-based e-commerce sites like let it be Groffer, Geomart, DMart, right? So everything is now available online. So you have to place order online, whether it is grocery, whether it is personal health, personal care, whatever the products are looking for. Because you all know that there is something which is stopping you to go to the store. And what you do is you try to buy everything in an online platform. And that is how the digital usage is also increasing day by day. Let me give you one more data here. as per the Nielsen report, during this crisis, we got around 1,900 new products launched under health and hygiene category between March and August 2020. That shows how people are so much concerned about their health and hygiene. But prior to that, it was not there. Right? I know that washing our hand, we used to eat so many things here and there. Look, because India is a country where you get every thelawalas, everywhere you get, and
Due to technical glitch, I think BN Swar sir did get disconnected. So, moving ahead, now I would like to request Dr. Muhammad Kamal Hussain sir to bless with his knowledge and valuable insight with us. Prior to that, I would like to just give a brief about sir. Dr. Muhammad Kamal Hussain sir is Associate Professor, Principal, Consultant and Hospital Planning and Quality, MOE, Saudi Arabia, Head Quality Unit. His experience in a demonstrated history of the working in the healthcare industry, skill in accreditation, quality management, hospital, healthcare management, and a strong consulting professionals with an EMP in leadership, focus on management, leadership quality from Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow. Sir having approx 9 years of experiences at Al Qura University, heading Department for Health Information, Technology and Management. Sir has also published many journals, papers, and participated in multiple conferences as keynote speaker and session head. As far as his education is concerned, sir is the alumni of Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow, FMS, JNU, India, Pondicherry University. Sir is also having Six Sigma Green Belt training in quality management. Sir, now I request you to please bless us with your valuable knowledge. Over to you, Dr. Kamal sir.
Thank you so much, Professor Nayan sir, for this beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And before starting my talk, I would really like to thank ISM Patna for inviting me, and also Professor Padi sir for giving me this opportunity to be with you today. And I'll surely talk a little bit about which is maybe related to the COVID-19 pandemic and healthcare industry. I'd also like to thank Professor Sanjay Patro sir, who is the chairperson of this conference, and Professor Vidanchit sir, as well as we have one more panelist speaker, Professor Sudhir Saran sir. So let's start with my small presentation, because you have already mentioned about the time, so I have to be like very much, limited with the time. So let's start. As you know, that Corona pandemic is has almost jailed us. We are almost jailed. We are not going anywhere without any safety issues are there. There are many things you can find in the market. So healthcare, basically I will be focusing on the healthcare, because healthcare is one of the basic rights of every individuals. Healthcare providers are responsible to provide better care during this COVID-19 crisis to all patients, and managing quality during this pandemic in hospital and other place is a challenge for everyone. So by managing existing quality and adding few more new concepts, you can find there are new concepts given by various sources like Ministry of Health, WHO, can increase the desired outcome. So the COVID-19 crisis is actually drawing attention to the already overburdened public health system in many countries, not only in India, in fact in Saudi Arabia also. But here the active cases are almost 3,000 only. and to the challenge faced in recruiting, deploying, retaining, and protecting sufficient, well trained, supported, and motivated healthcare workers. It highlights the strong need for sustainable investment in health systems, including in the health workforce and for decent working conditions and training and equipments, especially in relation to personal protective equipments and occupational safety. Social dialogue like this conference and all is essential to building resilient health systems and therefore has a critical role both in crisis response and in building a future that is prepared for health emergencies. So just have some actually the snapshot about the health status. Half of the world people cannot access essential healthcare even in normal times. Forget about the pandemic times. So the half of the world people they cannot access. As you know, the health for all is one of the requirement of every individuals. Every individual has right to get the healthcare facilities, healthcare services. So while just have an example from the Italy, like Italy has one doctor for every 243 people. Zambia has one doctor for every 10,000 people. Mali has 3 ventilators per million people. Average health spending in low-income countries is only dollar 14, dollar 41 person, one per person a year, 70 times less than high-income countries. So, the market share of health industry worldwide, the global healthcare market reached a value of nearly $8,452 billion in 2018, having grown at a compound annual growth rate of 7.3% since 2014 and is expected to grow at a CAGR of 8.9% to nearly $11,908 billion by 2022. So, the growth in the historic period resulted from the rapid growth in the elderly population, strong economic growth in emerging markets, decline in oil prices, and health insurance reforms globally. The factors that negatively affected growth in the historic period were low healthcare access, shortage of skilled human resources, difficulty in manufacturing biologics, and regulatory changes. So the healthcare market segment having different types like healthcare services, pharmaceutical drugs, medical equipments, biologics, and veterinary healthcare. So healthcare services were the largest segment of the healthcare market, accounting for 79.4% of the total in 2018. It was followed by pharmaceutical drug, medical equipment, and other segment. North America was the largest market for healthcare, accounting for 41.9% of the global market in 2018, and it was followed by Asia Pacific, Western Europe, and then other regions. So now impact of COVID-19 pandemic on healthcare systems. For the first time in the history, a health crisis has shut down the entire global economy, painfully demonstrating how inseparable healthcare and the economy have become. Is health naturally more important now? Do we feel that? Or is the overflow of continuous digital information impairing fear and influencing political choices? Or is this because so called developed markets are really truly affected this time? We have to think. So, what will be the future of healthcare systems? Across the globe, our healthcare system were not designed to deal with this crisis, an unpredictable, large-scale health challenge that requires urgent mobilization of resources and affect the whole populations. Debating these systems' ability and efficiency to deal with it is therefore not relevant. In many ways, the COVID-19 pandemic is absolutely opposed to, the, to the main direction that healthcare systems, particularly in developed countries, have been talking over the past 3 years. Like focus resources on non-communicable or chronic diseases such as diabetes and cardiovascular conditions, health issues related to lifestyle changes, and an aging population made this type of healthcare burden more relevant for healthcare system than pandemics. Going forward, the burden of the chronic health problems, especially among the elderly, will far exceed infectious diseases. People aged over 65 will represent more than 12% of the total population by 2030, peaking at 30% in Japan and 22% in Western Europe. The number of people living, for example, among the chronic diseases with diabetes is projected to increase by 49, actually 49% to 629 million by 2045, with China 114 million and India almost 73 million, and the United States 31 million topping the list. So after having this all COVID-19 issues, you can see that all hospitals are almost closed. There are some certain elective surgeries are going on, but generally you will not find, hospitals open till now. So there is a new concept came that is called virtual health. So virtual health includes at a distance interactions to further the care, health, and well-being of healthcare consumers in a connected, coordinated manner. It includes not just virtual provider visits, but also many complex aspects of care delivery and management, such as hospital at home. The COVID-19 crisis has accelerated the need, deployment, and adoption of virtual health solutions across healthcare organizations, enabling the clinicians and consumers to connect in a safer and more efficient setting. So let's talk a little bit about what world could unfold after the crisis across. There are five dimensions everyone has to look after, that is economy, then society, politics, technology, and sustainability. Economy, of course, will worldwide economies rebound after absorbing a passing storm or enter an extended recession. You can find many people are leaving the job. Many, actually, many countries' economy is still now shut, so they are really facing a lot of issues. Society, again, we have to think: will social cohesion rise with a heightened appreciation for interpersonal and familial relationship, or fall as xenophobia and suspicion of other become the norm? In politics, will government around the world gain trust and international organizations such as WHO grow in relevance or adopt isolation to protect their consumers or their constituents? Technology, again, we have to think: will technology advances stay on course, or maybe diverge among different markets with a focus on advances in surveillance and control measures? And sustainability, we have to also think like will focus on sustainability, including climate change, be renewed or decline as countries shift towards energy independence. So again, if you see, as I told you, like aircraft are almost, like international flights are almost closed. I wanted to visit India, but I cannot. So so you can see the medical tourism basically in India is like, it was on high peak. If you talk
Sorry
about,
to interrupt you, sir. Please conclude, sir.
all right. Just give me 2 minutes. Huh? So if you see like healthcare marketing, basically in India, people used to come from different countries to get get the treatment, get the surgery done over there. So if you see that there is actually a lot of changes in the numbers. Basically, in 2015, India got almost 3 lakh actually patients from the outside the world. In 16, they got almost 5 lakh. In 17, 6 lakh, and in 19, almost 7 lakh. The foreigner, actually you can say foreign patients, they came and they got this treatment in India. So nowadays you can see like hospitals in Delhi, in Chennai, in Bombay, they are really struggling. There are many many hospitals who is basically, about to close, like small hospital. They cannot survive in this pandemic time because hospitals, hospitals has to follow the rules and regulations, and they don't have much operational cost. So of course, um, this pandemic is basically giving us an opportunity to increase the demand of public health expert. You can find that in India or in the whole world, you will not find public health expert available easily. So I think the country, means all the world has to think about this one, and they have to, increase the public health expert, maybe in the qualifications, or maybe like you can get some like degrees in public health, like you can find like health administrators, hospital administrators, means administrations, epidemiologists, environmental and occupational health specialists, public health surveillance expert, or health education and health promotion activities, maybe the persons. So, so there are some challenges for academic institutions also. Like you can see that there are many university who is giving online classes. So maintaining academic quality is really very tough nowadays. Learning and assessments depending on online learning, maybe limited training for students with uh, less the practical session, staff turnover, because the universities or the schools or the institutions, they cannot pay much. In 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 these days, you can find like there are many people, they are losing the jobs. So there is a limited admissions also, limited academic research activities, and less community actually participations. So I hope that inshallah, after this pandemic, maybe our country, the whole world will think about this type of actually pandemic, and they will actually prepare themselves for the worst. If something coming in the new era, they will be prepared. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nan. If you have any questions, you can ask. Thank you. Wash your hands, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, for giving such a pleasing intellectual and sharing your key knowledge of the health sector. Thank you very much, sir. Moving ahead, now I would like to request Dr. Sudhir Saran sir to bless us. Before that, I would just like to give a brief about his profile. Sudhir Saran sir, having MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, certificate in Decision Support System from IIT Kanpur. He did PhD in the year 1996. He is presently Executive Director of Controlling Management and Engineering Institutions. Her Highness Governor of Karnataka nominated Dr. Sudhir Saran sir to the Senate of the Bangalore University in recognition of the distinguished academic contributions. He is also visiting professor at IIM Lucknow, University of Texas, United States of America, Washington State University, and President University Indonesia on the invitation of the Dean Faculty of Business. Sir has started experiences in creating Indian joint venture at Dutch MNC KPN Royal, having part of the top management team in the manufacturing and investment concerns, consulted in a startup founders in many organizations, co-promoter of Institute of Family Business Management Society, honorary director in NCR-based high-tech B2B physical startups in 2015, co-founder of OWGI Foundation. It promotes social entrepreneurship venture. Sir, having rich experience of academics as well as industry, I am also fortunate enough to work with Dr. Sudhir Saran sir. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir. Please bless us.
Thank you very much for the glowing words, Mr. Sinha.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
very obliged to you for the opportunity. I must begin by thanking your founders who have created a beautiful institutions in a place which is very close to my heart, and it is my home estate. I also thank Professor P.K. Pardi, who was my ex-colleague from Birla Institute of Technology, Misra, Ranchi, and now he is at the helm of the affair. And thank you everyone who invited me, Dr. Mishra and Mr. Sinha, for this opportunity. I cannot tell you how grateful I am emotionally for this moment where I can say a few things where I grew up. Now, the first thing that I want to mention to you today is I'm very impressed that you have two people who are talking about consumer behavior in the research work. One of them is a faculty member and one is a student from Bangalore only, Christ Bangalore. Uh, as you know, I just stopped a course which I am giving to executives of participants of executive MBA program here in Bangalore, and I'm teaching them consumer behavior 6 hours today, 6 hours tomorrow. So to see two research papers on this theme gave me a lot of encouragement and positive feelings. There is a quotation, and it goes something like this: God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. In COVID times, we as either academic side of management or executive side of management need to remember these lines at all times, because the times are, as the previous speaker was trying to tell us, the COVID pandemic has changed the reality so much. A lot of what we knew has become redundant, and a lot of what we don't know has become crucially important. From time immemorial and even today, despite the pandemic, we must remember that marketing is the only business function which, unlike other functions of the business, brings in revenue. No other function does this. Every other function in the language of management accounting at advanced level is either a cost center or investment center, but not a earning revenue bringing center. Now, for marketing to function properly, as a manager, I have control of only the marketing mix. No matter how courageous I am to cope with the present existing reality for my organization, I have to accept with serenity COVID is something which I cannot change. Now, within the boundaries of these limitations, there is a premium of those people who understand the interconnect of consumer behavior and marketing mix. Let me mention this. You surely know this, but I want to underscore this with a thick black line. And this is: marketing begins with consumer and ends with consumer. Technically speaking, only by understanding the consumer's needs and wants through a thorough consumer research will I be able to go to the drawing board of marketing a strategy and start my work on controlling product, price, place, promotion, if I'm talking about goods, because these 4 P's are goods marketing mix. And if I'm talking of services marketing mix, then I have to include people, process, and physical evidence, 7P. All of you know there is a huge confusion whether 4P framework is right or 7P is right. And many people don't realize there is absolutely no dispute. If we are talking about goods, let us stick to 4P framework. And if we are talking about services, the relevant framework is 7Ps. So this is what we have to do. The second thing that you must realize is consumers' behavior varies depending upon the factors that impact it. We know that four sets of factors are important. Your researchers, your professors who are emphasized, I'm sure will do their bit in highlighting this one. And that is economic factors, not as a economics professor teaches. We say that economics will begin with demand side, that is the purchasing power. Purchasing power follows from the income. Which income is relevant here for an expert of marketing when he or she is tackling the task of designing the marketing mix? Well, that is either disposable income, that is after I have paid my income taxes and other taxes, or it is discretionary income, that is I paid the taxes and I have met all the basic domestic expenses, household expenses, and if something remains discretionary. If I am somebody who is selling something other than necessities, I need to understand that discretionary income is the relevant metric for me to look at. And these kind of things in our MBA programs, we do teach, we emphasize. What we don't say everywhere, I'm sure ISM is an exception. I think we do these things, that more important than knowledge will be the discretion of choosing which knowledge to apply in which decision situation. So, to the next part, there are 10 models listed in the literature of consumer behavior. One of them is very famous, and I'm very happy to tell you the institute where I'm teaching the consumer behavior today and tomorrow has renamed itself in honor to Jagdish Sheth, who with Howard created the famous Howard Sheth model of consumer behavior. A treat for every academician and a jewel for every practitioner when it comes to success at marketing. With the help of such models of consumer behavior, we are able to design a marketing strategy which delivers the results most efficiently at the pleasure of our own stakeholders and which is a bane for the competitors. Thank you very much for this. We can go on and on. What I want to conclude by saying is the famous quotation from a very famous name in literature, Victor Hugo. I am very impressed by it. I will like to conclude my talk by reminding what he said 160 years ago, and it goes something like this. Even an army cannot stop an idea whose time has come. ISM Patna, your time has come. Nothing can stop you from the glory. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you to our promoters. Thank you to my party. Thank you to Dr. Mishra. Thank you to you, Nalinji. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Definitely, ISM Patna is not going to stop. Now we will start. Once we have started, we will definitely reach a high destination. Thank you very much, sir, for your kind elaboration. Now is the time of the paper presenters. And still, I am very much honored to present the first paper as by myself in front of such eminent personalities, eminent speakers. Please allow me, you all, sir, to present my paper. I'm going to share my screen. My topic is impact of green marketing on sustainable development. I myself, as author and co-author, is Dr. Ranjan Kumar Mishra. First, we need to understand green marketing as it is one of the recent requirements. This paper will describe what we make the companies to adopt the green marketing. Green marketing is the marketing of product and services based on environmental factor and awareness. In this advanced world of globalization, it is utmost important to challenging and keep our natural habit safe, and that is the biggest priority. We need to concern about our environment. It is the responsibilities of the companies to provide such a platform so that the environmental will also get protected. According to American Marketing Association, green marketing is the marketing of products that are presumed to be environmentally safe. Thus, green marketing incorporates a broad range of activities, including product modification, changes to the production process, packaging changes, as well as modifying. Around the world, there are products that are beginning to promote themselves as eco-friendly products. Must be appreciable step from the paperboard juices. They are utilizing the natural resources. They are utilizing, in fact, our resources to provide these kinds of the juices and providing the basic objective and methodology. What I use is, the objective is to change the consumer and business point of view of looking towards for the green marketing just as a promotional tool. I use exploratory method to prove the guide and empirical research. Descriptive method has been also used by finding fact and more interpretation, and data has been collected by the websites, journal and newspaper, magazine, books and conference proceedings. It encourages the business to properly utilize natural resources such as water consumption and electricity. We need to encourage the requirement of green marketing. Ultimately, green marketing looks at how marketing activities utilizes these limiting resources while satisfying consumer wants, both of individuals and industry, as well as achieving the selling organization's objective. There are numerous examples, like the paperboard marketing strategy is the classic example. PepsiCo sustainability effort include working with the farmers to monitor water uses and carbon emissions and maximize crop yields. McDonald's even replaced its clamshell packaging with wax paper because of increasing consumer concern relating to polystyrene production and ozone duplications. We have certain challenges too. We need to make the consumer aware about that it is a new concept, and consumer need to be educated and made aware of the environmental threats. Marketers need to keep patience because they cannot get immediate result. They cannot get immediate benefit. So they need to be patient. Then need for the standardization. Unless some regulatory bodies are involved in providing the certifications, there will not be any verifiable means. So when there is no standardization currently in place with the certifying and organization, so it is required. We must avoid green myopia, which is one of the big challenge for the green marketing. There are certain golden rules which I used to quote, that knowing your customer first, educating our customers, being genuine and transparent, reassure the buyer and consider the pricing. Consumer expectations have to be changed. Firms can become more responsible by utilizing reduction production for harmful goods. Ensure that all types of consumer have the ability to evaluate the environmental composition of the goods. Competitors' environmental activities pressure firms to change their environmental marketing activities in order to get even with competitors claim to be environmentally friendly. Firms change over the green marketing. Result is green marketing percolates entire industry. The major finding is that we need to provide majority awareness. Still, many people are awareness, but for sustainable development, we need to promote this awareness as much possible. Majority of my respondents agree that sustainability is an important factor in decision making. People are aware to green environment because it is less detrimental to the environment, and companies can look into implementation of this concept of betterment of the business. From the result, we can say that the role of the government plays a vital role in green marketing. As far as initiation of green marketing is concerned, everyone is responsible for green marketing. If we analyze the facts pertaining to the green marketing, the significant results are positive at one end. Respondent stated that it has been tough to the companies and implement the green marketing. Consumers' attitude toward green branding and sustainable is very much high. As of for the result, for the researcher found the impact of green marketing on sustainable development is very much high. As a final conclusion, it is major change in the world business going to boost by only green marketing. The business that will involve consumer in its marketing process will be the leader in future. Marketer need to able to make consumer as a promoter rather than just to convince them. Green marketing must be pursued as a need of hour and just one an approach to marketing as a more dynamic and important environmental and social dimension to it. Green marketing should become law rather than just paper trail and fad. Recycling of resources should be more universal and systematized in eco-friendly way. Green marketing need to be a part of the parcel of academics from primary to higher level. Green marketing has positive impact on sustainable development in India. Exploration of green marketing is eco-friendly marketing and positive sign for transition from India to greener and greater India and for its sustainable development. Further research can be carried out in implementation of hypothesis and advanced statistical tools. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to present the paper. If any question is there, I would be happy to answer.
I have one question. How does it connect into the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations?
Sir, as far as United Nations is concerned, a bit their literacy rate a bit greater than Indian literacy rate. Definitely one of the key driver is the consumer awareness. If they are going to be more aware, their consumers, definitely the green marketing is going to be sustained in longer run.
Okay. The second thing is there are certain companies like Apple which have discarded plastic and gone to cardboard, which is recyclable. How can we spread this practice among other companies so that the whole world benefits?
Definitely, sir. By imposing certain legal restrictions, by imposing certain laws, we need to explore this to offer those processing products, those processing inputs, which will be easily degradable and recyclable.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. As time is one of the constant factor, so looking forward, moving ahead, I would like to request another participant, Soumya Shukla, Assistant Professor, International School of Management, to present her paper. Soumya ma'am, are you there? Please, over to you, Soumya ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to one and all present here. I feel immense pleasure to present a paper in this conference, and my topic is factors affecting consumer behavior towards online shopping. Is the screen is visible to you, sir?
Yes, ma'am, please F5. Please press F5 from your end. Okay.
As we all know, India is the second largest consumer market in the world. The Indian consumer profile has been changed in education, income, age, gender, occupation, and reference group. There is a shift in consumer brand preference for daily need products to high-end technologies with the explosion of different techniques. Nowadays, consumers are willingly and preferably offered internet marketing rather than going to the market. Consumer behavior consists of all human behavior that goes in a marketing decision. It refers to buying behavior of final consumer, individuals, and households who buy goods and services for personal consumption. And consumer market refers to all personal consumptions of final consumers. When we talk about online shopping is a form of electronic e-commerce which allows consumer to directly buy goods or services from seller over the internet using a web browser. Nowadays, online shopping provides a good example of business revolution. E-commerce has made simple and innovative of individuals and groups. Consumers on online shopping is different from physical market where he or she has access to see the products. Over the years, the trust of the customers for online shopping sites has increased day by day. The increase in the number of these sites on one hand has led to competition in the market. There are various factors, although, which affects the consumer behavior towards online shopping. The first is social factors. There are various social factors. Its impact the buying behavior of consumer. The most important social factors are reference groups, family, role, and status. Reference group have potential in forming a person attitude or behavior towards the market. The impact of reference groups varies across the product and brands. These reference groups is an actual and imaginary individual or group conceived of having significant relevance upon individual evaluation. When we talk about personal factor can also affect the consumer behavior because it influences the buying behavior, lifestyle, economic situation, occupation, age, family cycle, personality, and self-concept. There is cultural factor also which deeply influenced by the such as regional cultural social class. Culture is the part of every society and influence of culture on buying behavior of customer varies from region to region. Marketers can use these groups by segmenting the market into various small portions. There are economic factors also which includes personal income, family, savings, consumer credit, etc. These economic factors, it deals with the levels of sales in the market and financial positions of the consumer. There are different factors which affect the market, but it has some positive impact to the society also. So lastly, I conclude that when a consumer purchases online, he or she is affected by the various factors. The previous few years have been seen that consumer increasing day by day, they are very much prefer the online shopping. This ever increasing competition has called for adoption of new marketing strategies, new media, and out of box of thinking to influence the customer to visit the site and make purchase. The country's growing inter-habituated consumer base, which will all comprise about 180 million broadband users by 2020 of this year, along with class of mobile internet users are also driving day by day. Thank you and have a nice day.
Dr. Professor Soumya, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
The factors which are affecting consumer behavior
Yes, sir.
are very good basis for segmentation of the market.
Yes, sir.
And that is a very essential input for any strategic marketing work and decisions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Which of these factors will you recommend for segmentation in our COVID times?
I think, sir, economic factor is the major one because during a pandemic time, people are not able to move from one place to another. And the online marketing, that is Amazon and Flipkart, is the best part of marketing where they help the people to purchase the product. So I think, and economically, they offer different types of discounts and offers which anyone can prefer easily. So I think economic factor is the major part.
Thank you very much. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
I get this.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Moving ahead, now I would like to request Ms. Kavya to present her paper. Ms. Kavya ma'am, over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. 1 minute, I'll present. Sir, is my voice audible?
Yeah, audible and your screen is also visible. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Kavya S., a research scholar from Christ Deemed to be University. I'm really glad and privileged to get an opportunity to present my paper in this conference. So coming to my topic is COVID-19 leading to greed in consumer purchase behavior and pattern, a situational case study in India. Coming to the author details, my co-author is Abhishek Veed from the Department of Commerce, Christ Deemed to be University. Coming to the introduction, during the COVID-19 outbreak, we could identify a drastic change in the consumer purchase behavior. In order to have a safer position and control over the environment, consumers start to purchase more and stockpile than the actual need without considering the needs of the other consumers. So this has led to a new term called the greed purchase behavior in the consumer. So the greed purchase behavior is being created due to the huge demand for essential goods, which is leading to a crunch in the supply of goods. COVID-19 will have a long-lasting impact on the consumers, and it is essential to identify and analyze the psychological factors affecting the purchase behavior of the consumer. There is a shift in the purchase pattern of the consumer, changing their needs and requirements based on the situation. So based on this, we have divided the consumer behavior in three phases. That is, one is the pre-purchase behavior before COVID-19, COVID-19 situational behavior, and after COVID-19 post-purchase behavior. Before coming to the objectives, I would tell about the operational definitions that we came across. From the operational definitions of the consumer behavior, we found that all the definitions describe the purchase action and the various factors influencing the purchase behavior of the consumer directly and indirectly, but none of the definitions could cover the variances that may arise in the behavior of the consumer due to the situational impact. So therefore, it was an important to consider the psychological factors in understanding the change in the consumer behavior. So our objectives were mainly to analyze the situational shift in the consumer purchase behavior and redefine the demand pattern for goods in an uncertain situation, to identify and analyze the different psychological factors influencing greed purchase behavior of the consumers in the COVID-19 pandemic. And consumer behavior will be analyzed through three phases, as I said before, that is before COVID-19 as pre-purchase behavior, during COVID-19 situational behavior, and after COVID-19 post-purchase behavior. And the other main objective is to suggest and recommend strategies to have control over the pandemic disaster by understanding the needs of the consumer. The main purpose of our study was to identify the situational change in the consumer behavior and the long-lasting impact after the post-COVID-19. The results of the study will help the marketers frame the new strategies and to be more agile, which will help them to plan effectively during an uncertain situation, but still sustain during the crisis. So coming to the design and methodology, the data has been collected through a nationwide online survey. The instrument that we used was questionnaire, and we used the 3-point Likert scale. The data was collected from 1,038 respondents from various age groups ranging from 18 to 60 years. A simple random sampling technique has been used. Why we used a simple random sampling technique is because the consumer behavior has been affected and experienced by half of the global population due to COVID-19. It would be relevant and appropriate to use this technique because the demographic, psychographic, and the geographic factors also differ. The different parts of the outcome of COVID-19 would remain the same. And therefore, we used this technique to collect the data from massive population without any restrictions. And factor analysis was used to run, and the data were analyzed using the principal component analysis technique. Why we used a factor analysis was when we tested normality, the data was normal, and then we had in our questionnaire with question statements more than 32. The response received from the open-ended questionnaire were coded using a manual content coding technique to identify new variables because we wanted our research to be quite transparent and reliable. So coming to the analysis, in order to identify the scale's internal consistency, we ran a Cronbach alpha reliability test. And generally, the scale's reliability is acceptable if the Cronbach alpha is equal to 0.70. From the test we ran, we got the Cronbach alpha coefficient, which was 0.8, which was more than the actual reliability acceptance. And from the KMO and Bartlett test, we could identify that our data was fit for factor analysis, and the variance obtained through KMO sampling adequacy test was 0.91, which is closer to 1, and the significance level obtained through Bartlett test of sphericity was 0.0, which is lesser than significance level 0.05. So our data was collected, satisfied the sampling adequacy norms, and we directed our data collection for factor analysis. From the factor analysis output, we got 7 iterations, and appropriate name was given for each iterations, and there are stability and consistency in the distribution, and the variables were evenly distributed between 7 factors. So we got 7 factors. The first factor was fear in consumer, which represents the fear, anxiety, lockdown, pandemic, stockpiling, panic buying, and sense of control and personal freedom. And the component 2, cautious consumer, which represents the online buying, cashless transactions, health, hygiene, limited spending. And the third component, changing lifestyle of consumers, which included the changing routine, hygiene measures, spending pattern, and income capability. And the component 5, encouraged buying, which represents the products, peer evaluation, peer encouragement, lively information through word of mouth, and the reduced excitement and buying, which included the unpleasant environment, negative thoughts and beliefs, and the last one, the product presentation, which included the good advertising and presentation skills. So the important thing during the factor analysis was the practical significance level of factor loadings has been satisfied by considering the grouping factor loadings above 0.5 from the rotated component matrix and deriving the appropriate factor components. So from the findings, we could tell that the pandemic has encouraged an enormous digital purchase. The fear of spread of virus and unsafe conditions in the shopping environment has made consumers prefer more of e-commerce platforms. The fear of unavailability of stock has encouraged consumers to be greedy and purchase more and stockpile. And coming to the practical impact, the new normal consumer will be more digital oriented and would reduce the visit to the stores until and unless it is needed. And the marketers have to campaign the importance of the safety of maintenance and hygiene conditions, because hygiene buying would be a lifelong habit even after the COVID-19 pandemic. Coming to the social impact, the government of various countries should impose strict rules and surveillances in the shopping centers to monitor the behavior of the marketers. The government has to ensure that the sellers and the storeholders are involved in honest selling and do not manipulate the demand by increasing the prices and limiting the stocks only available. And the consumer should also realize the importance of minimalistic living, which becomes the need for an art. Originality of the data has been collected during the most taxing crisis, that is the COVID-19 pandemic, and the consumer demand will never end, and thus the marketers to earn profit also will never end. Considering these both relevant themes, our article brings a larger consciousness about the existing consumer behavior. Scope for future research. Future researchers can conduct an exhaustive research about the good and safety hygiene, and further research can be made considering the marketer's perspective about COVID-19 and consumer behavior. So limitations, a lack of generalizability on our research, as our research focuses only on Indian consumer behavior. We haven't considered the marketer's perspective in our research. So that is another important factor. Further research can be done through the marketer's perspective. Concluding, we could say that COVID-19 has created a permanent shift in the consumer behavior, and the findings clearly state that the consumer has been changed into a new normal consumer. So the new normal consumer would be more digital oriented and would focus more on survival goods and services. Hygiene buying will be a lifelong habit even after the pandemic crisis settles down. So thank you for giving me this great opportunity to present my paper, and special thanks to Nayan Ranjan Sinha sir for moderating me throughout the conference presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I have
Dr.
a
Nash, can I
question.
ask one query?
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah, I think this is a good paper.
Hello.
Just wanted to know that how did you identify your respondent?
Yes. Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah, have you got my question?
How did we identify our respondents?
Yeah.
So was that your question?
Yeah, that is my question, yes.
So we generally concentrated from age 18 to 60, and hello.
Yeah, normally I'm asking about what is the sampling method have you followed?
The method that we followed was simple random sampling technique, sir, because COVID-19 would be the impact of COVID-19 would be same among all the consumers, irrespective of age and demographic factors. So ours was simple random sampling technique.
Can I
So
ask
when
a
you run
question
this,
here?
when you run this exploratory factor analysis,
Yes,
what is an
yes, sir.
eigenvalue? Have you got an eigenvalue?
Sir,
Have
so
you
voice
got
is
any
breaking.
Have you got any eigenvalue?
No, sir. Sir, I didn't understand what you mean by ideal value.
Eigenvalue, EIGN, eigenvalue.
No, sir, we didn't find out that.
And scree plot?
Oh, eigenvalue. So we considered more than factors which was more than 0.5. So it was greater than 1, sir. Eigenvalue.
Okay, thank you, yeah.
I have a question, Miss Soumya.
Sir, I'm Kavya.
Kavya. Okay.
Yes,
Kavya,
yes,
normally I will need a sampling frame
yes,
if I'm going to practice a simple random sampling. Okay.
yes.
So what was your approach? How did you get the sampling
So,
frame?
from simple random sampling, we followed the flexible random sampling technique because the COVID-19 impact is going to be the same for any kind of consumer, right? So, we used a flexible sampling technique across the age group from 18 to 60. So, we never restricted through any demographic factor or any cultural factors. We just used a flexible sampling technique. We used online survey through social media. We sent our questionnaires across the social media and we collected the data.
That is very clear. So in each of these,
Yes.
your starting point is constructing a sampling frame, list of the people in the population. Without that, you cannot practice this one, no?
The flexible sampling technique.
The technique requires that you have access to a sampling frame.
Yes,
It
sir.
can be a
So, but,
telephone directory, it can be resident welfare. Yeah.
So we concentrated here only the Indian respondents, Indian consumers.
So good. We are both in Bangalore. We can continue our conversation. Time is limited here. So I'll
Okay.
stop here.
Yes,
Nayan
sir.
will share my contact with you. We can
Yes,
have a
sir.
communication on this one.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Kavya. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Now it's the high time to present the vote of thanks. I, on behalf of International School of Management, Patna, wish to express my thanks to Dr. Sanjay Patru sir. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your valuable time with us. I would like to extend my sincere thanks and gratitude to D.N. Swar sir for his cooperation, without which we will not be able to get lots of intellectuals ideas. I would also like to express my profound gratitude to Dr. Kamal Hussain sir for encouraging us to such innovative ideas in health sector. I extend my thanks and pay my regards to my senior ex-colleague, Dr. Sudhin Saran sir, to giving his precious and valuable time for us. I extend my sincere thanks to all my participants, my technical team, head of institutions, and all the team of NMSRC 2020 for successful completion of technical session 4. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you from all of us. All the best.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Looking forward also in future.
Sure, 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 sure.